Hello everybody, Professor Purple here, and today I'm going to be doing something a little bit different. I'm going to be doing a tier list. What am I ranking? I am ranking every video game I've ever played. No, just kidding. I've played a lot more video games than this. This is just the video games that I've currently got on my Steam library, as well as my Switch. Not all the ones for my Switch, but I basically just took all the games from my Steam library, and then I added in a whole bunch of games that I could think of off the top of my head, as well as like the games I've played on MetaQuest. So this is, I guess I'd say, a total sum of all the games I've played in the last couple of years, not my entire lifetime. But with all that being said, I've kind of got this in alphabetical order with a few exceptions. It's kind of like loosely there. I also try to keep games chronological from timeline and or release. So, with all that being said, let's go ahead and get into it with the first game on the list, Alice Madness Returns. Actually, before I get into this, I should probably mention my tiers. So, we've got Professor Purple Certified. These are for my personal favorite games. So, overall on the tier list, you could consider a great game to kind of just be the S tier, but Professor Purple Certified is beyond that. That is a game that is so dear to my heart that I can't even put it in S tier. I can't put it that low, is how much I love this game. So, great game, S tier. Professor Purple Certified, beyond S tier. Good game, A tier. You know, it's a good game. It's not a great game, but it's good. Mid game is like, you know, your B to C tier, kind of mix those together. It's, you know, it's fine. It's a game. Not something I, like, completely love or enjoy playing. Bad game? It's a bad game, you know. There's still some merit to the game, but overall, it's just not good. That's kind of your D tier. And then shit. That's F tier. These are games that I don't want to touch. So now that I've said all that, let's go ahead and get started with Alice Madness Returns. Now, this is a game I played when I was really young, and then recently got it on Steam, and I have not fully beaten it since I got it again, but I have played a good amount of the game, and I'm gonna put it in good game. It's definitely not a great game, but it is a very good atmospheric game. It's, you know, it's got a lot of what's the word I'm looking for? I have no idea. It's a very dark game. It's very twisted. And it loves kind of playing with the story of Alice and making it very dark, demented. A lot of twisted elements to the game, which is something that I personally am a pretty big fan of in games. So good game. Alien Rogue Incursion. So this is on the MetaQuest. It's a VR game. And I did actually record this for YouTube. And the reason that I haven't uploaded it is because it's absolute fucking shit. I hated every second of playing this game. I recorded this video, and like halfway through going into the game, or halfway into like the recording session, I just turned the game off. I deleted the video right away, and I refunded the game immediately. I could not stand this game. The controls were fucking terrible. The aliens just weren't threatening. I was expecting an Alien Isolation type experience, and that is nowhere near what I got. I hated this game. Let's move on. Baldi's Basics. That's going to go mid-game. I enjoyed it quite a bit when it came out, but it's definitely not a spectacular game, so I can't really put it in good game, like, because, I mean, it's a shitty horror game for children, so mid-game's where that's going. Batman Arkham Asylum, I'm going to put in good game. No, I'm going to put that in great game. That's got to be great game. It's one of... Honestly, you can expect pretty much all the Arkham games to be great game. It was such a shift for the superhero game genre. It's pivotal in pretty much every superhero game that's come out since then. The Spider-Man games take so much inspiration off of Arkham, and so many other games just have taken a lot of inspiration from it. And now we've got that new Lego Batman game that just got revealed that looks to be taking a lot of inspiration from all sorts of different medias, including the movies and the Arkham games. So I'm very excited about that. Now with Arkham City, I'm also going to put that in great game. I'm going to put it above Asylum because what Arkham City did is it took everything that Asylum did great and made it better, except for the atmosphere. Asylum definitely has better atmosphere, but City, it had just such an amazing story. They did a very bold move killing off Joker at the end of the second game in their series, and I know I probably just sound like every other person that's talked about these games, but I mean, people have gotten a very accurate read on the games. So, Night, I'm going to put in Professor Purple Certified because this was the game I've played the most. I know a lot of people complain about the Batmobile, but I've never really hated the Batmobile combat. I will say it is overused. That's the biggest complaint with it, and yes, that is very true, but I don't mind it as much because I don't find it as difficult to control as a lot of people say it is, so I don't know, like, if people just hate on the Batmobile for no reason, because the biggest complaint I've heard is that it's difficult to control, and I do not find that to be the case. But and yes, they did definitely shit on Hush and Deathstroke in this game, but overall, I do think it's a wonderful game. And then Arkham Origins, I'll put also in the great game tier. As you can tell, I really love the Arkham games. They're some of my favorites. Arkham Origins is the one I've played the least, but I still enjoyed it nonetheless. It's got like a great story between Batman and Alfred. I really think Roger Craig Smith did an amazing job voicing Batman too. And I don't even mind like the whole Joker being Black Mask reveal. I think that was fine. But I really do enjoy this game, especially like the boss fights, like Deathstroke, and I mean the Electrocutioner boss fight, one of the hardest boss fights in gaming. Like, it's got to go down in history as the most difficult boss fight in all of gaming. So moving on, we've got Arkham Shadows. I'm gonna put this one also in certified, just because playing through this game is so much fun. And the boss fights are all incredible. The story is amazing. What it does with like the whole story with Two-Face and everything. I honestly think this is such a good VR game, and the thing I love most about this game is that it unlike the other Arkham VR game, which is more of a short experience, it doesn't make VR a gimmick. It makes it the medium of the game. And I think using it less as a gimmick feature and like a tech demo and using it to build a really good game off of that control scheme really works. The combat is super fun, and I could just go on for hours about how much I love like the combat, the controls, the everything. There are some moments in the game that are just amazing, like when you first unlock your like instant takedowns, like the combo takedowns and everything, like in that whole area leading up to that where you're just like beating people up, and like you can tell Batman's like very pissed off, and it's such a power trip, and there's a lot of moments in the game like that which I really appreciate and love. So Arkham Shadows, Professor Purple certified 100%. Beyond Two Souls, that's going to be another good game. I remember when I was younger, I watched a YouTuber, Mess Yourself, play this, and me and my siblings watched that guy a lot. We probably shouldn't have, but we did, and we all very much enjoyed watching this series. And then when I got more into like gaming myself, I got the game, and it's a really good story. It's got great acting. Willem Dafoe's in it. I absolutely love Willem Dafoe. So, and in terms of the story, it's also very interesting as well. And it's got like two story modes where you can go chronological, or you can kind of just jump in. I prefer the chronological. It messes with my head too much jumping into a million different points in the story. So Beyond Two Souls, it's another very nostalgic and very well-liked game. Blade and Sorcery Nomad, that's going to go in great game as well. I have had so much fun in this game. Um, and honestly, I should probably see a therapist because this game brings out some innate violence in me, which probably isn't the best thing. But I just enjoy playing this game so much. It's a very good. Um, it's like Kick the Buddy in VR. You know, it's very good stress reliever, and I think like the magical abilities are super fun to use when they work. Sometimes they don't work the best. The controls aren't always super. I lost the word I was going to use, but overall, it's a very fun game. Especially like it supports mods, and I actually have a video that I recorded yesterday, but the editing process will take a lot longer than this one, so it'll probably be out after this video. But it's a fun one. So, Blade and Sorcery, great game. Castle of Illusion, I'm also putting that in great game. Nostalgia maybe factors in there a little bit. I absolutely love this game. It's one of the first ones that I did on YouTube, and it's the first series on YouTube that I completed beginning to end. I might actually replay the game soon, because when I played it the first time it was on mobile, and I want to try playing the console version for YouTube instead and do a series on that on the Steam Deck. So, probably end up doing that probably soon. Probably when I'm done with Resident Evil 2, I might just go ahead and do that. I've kind of given up on the notion of doing all the Resident Evil games in order because Resident Evil 2 is giving me such a tough fucking time with the recording because I keep recording videos and then somehow they get corrupted and I'm going to go on a tangent, so I'm just going to steer away from that topic. Castle of Illusion, very nostalgic game for me and is quite enjoyable. Deadpool game, I'm also going to put that in great game. I've played it once, and I was really young when I played it. I know that it is extremely hard to get now, and people are selling it for a lot of money now after Activision shut down its Marvel game catalog. So, yeah, it's a great game. I really think that they did such a good job of like capturing the Deadpool personality and having him you're just absolutely ignoring like the game script he's got and writing his own stuff in it, and I don't know. There's just a lot of moments in this game that I think did an amazing job of capturing Deadpool. I'm really excited for the Deadpool VR game with Neil Patrick Harris as Deadpool. I'm definitely playing that for YouTube when it comes out. But Deadpool's just such a great character, and I definitely think that so far he's gotten a lot of good representation in media. I mean, he's had some bad representation too. X-Men Origins. But, you know, he's also gotten some good representation as well. Dead by Daylight, I'm going to put that in good game. I would probably put it higher if I've played it with friends, but no, I don't really have a whole lot of friends that have this game, so I have not played it with friends. So unfortunately, I haven't had as good. Actually, I'm going to bump it down to mid-tier or mid-game just because, as I said, I haven't, I haven't been able to play with friends a lot, and so I'm primarily just playing with a bunch of jackasses online. No offense if you play online. I'm not talking about you, of course. But, it's just... And it's not scary either. Like, if it was... I know there are some horror games that, like, when you're playing online with friends, it's super fun and everything. And then when you're on your own, it's, it can be a little bit scarier. But it's not really like that. And so I've got, that's my gripe with it. It's not scary. And playing a horror game on my own, I would want it to be scary. But then again, I can't speak to if it's fun with friends or not, so mid-game. Evil Within, great game. I fucking love the Evil Within games. They are some of the best horror games in my opinion. Evil Within, the first one, is one of the best survival horror games that I think I've ever played. It doesn't beat like some of the games that we'll get into soon, and I'll, let you know when we get to those, but I absolutely love Evil Within. I love the story. I love Sebastian. He's an incredible character, and I really, really would love them to do Evil Within 3, but I don't know if that's ever going to happen. But, I would absolutely love another installment in this series, and I have enjoyed both previous installments in the series. With that being said, Evil Within 2 will be the third game to go Professor Purple certified. This is one of my favorite games of all time. It is, I definitely think objectively the Evil Within 1 is probably better. But in my opinion, I've played the Evil Within 2 a lot more and just had a lot more fun with it. I think some of its mechanics definitely improve over the Evil Within. It's definitely nowhere near as scary, but that's one of the things I like about it, is it's kind of self-aware in a way that not a lot of horror games are, where kind of like we've got Sebastian in this situation where he's been through this before and he's just kind of had enough. And I think like the boss fight with the main villain Theodore Wallace at the end of the game, not the very end of the game, but the boss fight with him, where Sebastian kind of goes through and fights all of the previous bosses from the first game, that really kind of shows you just how done he is with all the bullshit from his experiences. And I think that it's just, overall, both games have a wonderful story to them. Now, Five Nights at Freddy's, I was kind of the perfect age when this game came out to enjoy it very much. Because when did it come out? 2012, I want to say? Was it 2012? Yeah, I think it was. And I would have been 5 years old. So I definitely can't, I definitely was a good age when this game came out to be absolutely obsessed with it. I was never too obsessed with it, but I definitely have enjoyed it. I'm going to put it mid-game because, it's not really scary. Even when I was a kid, I never found the jump scares to be too scary. I'm not gonna, go play Five Nights at Freddy's and act like one of the hundreds of YouTube channels that, just fucking, lost their life in fear over a 3-second jump scare. But it's a fine game. I definitely think the lore is what saves it from being a bad game. And I definitely think that it's complicated, but also it's a good story with a lot of different ways to interpret it, and about 500 different game theory videos to try and unpack. So, yeah, Five Nights at Freddy's 2, I will put in good game though. I think overall it's definitely better than the first one. It improves, it gives some more mechanics, and there's definitely... It's scarier, not like as in it's like a much scarier game. It's scarier more as in the anxiety feeling you get in the game is a lot worse in this one because you have so many more animatronics coming for you, and you have much more things to keep track of, like the music box. You have to, you have to remember which enemies are affected by wearing the mask and which enemies can see straight through that and whatnot. Very interested to see how Five Nights at Freddy's 2 will turn out and how the movie will... embrace those changes, and like we've seen in the trailers, Mike does wear the mask at one point, so I'm interested to see where that goes. Now next, this one I'm going to put in bad game because I never enjoyed it. I also think that everything just being the same color, it's not a very aesthetically pleasing game because just everything's green. I haven't played it much, this one, to be honest, though. I just never really liked how boring this one is. I mean, you've only really got one real enemy to be worried about, and all the other jump scares are kind of like minor inconvenience, so I'd even go so far as to say barely an inconvenience. But, yeah, so... is Five Nights at Freddy's 3 first bad game. I do love the Springtrap design though. I will say that it's definitely one of the cooler designs in the series. Five Nights at Freddy's 4, I'll put mid game as well. I don't think it's as good as the second one. I think the second one's definitely the best of like the first few games. I do think it's it's interesting to have it set in in a kid's bedroom, and especially with all the theories that it's Afton's kid and whatnot, and I don't know if those are theories or they come from Never mind. I shouldn't even ask if anything's confirmed because Scott Cawthon loves to not confirm anything as far as the lore. So, yeah. Security Breach. I'm also going to go mid-game. I haven't enjoyed it very much. It's also just very laggy. Or it was on launch. I haven't played it much since launch, so... When it launched, it was very laggy. I don't know if they've fixed that at all. So, yeah, it's just... I really wanted to enjoy this game. I just couldn't. And I think that's what I could say for the Five Nights at Freddy's games as a whole. I really want to enjoy them. I just can't. And, you know... It's funny because other sorts of FNAF media I definitely do enjoy. The books, like the Silver Eyes books, I enjoyed those. The movie I enjoyed very much. I love Matthew Lillard and Josh Hutcherson already, so it was nice to have them in the movie. I know that Matthew Lillard definitely didn't have as much screen time as I wanted, and it doesn't look like he's going to have as much screen time in the second game or in the second movie either. But I'm hoping that the third movie, unlike the third game, will not be my least favorite because I think they'll definitely give him more screen time in that, seeing as that's kind of the game that's more centered around Springtrap than anything else. Moving on, Friday the 13th. This was such a great game. I am so sad it got delisted. I still have a copy of it on my Switch. But the account that I played it on, not the account that I bought it on, but the account I played it on got deactivated. So I still own the game. I can still play it. But since I never really played it on the account I bought it on until very recently, I discovered I don't have any of the skins or anything. Because I remember when the game was going to get delisted, they unlocked everything so you wouldn't have to grind out to get everything. So I had all the skins for every character and everything. And so I had all those. But now I don't have any of them because you can't even unlock skins anymore. You can't get like experience or anything from the game because you can't go online on the game anymore. So I am stuck with the base level shit, and it makes the game a lot less enjoyable. But when this game was still active and when the servers were still running, I loved playing this game so much. It was just, I don't know. I'm stuttering so much now and I can't form a cohesive thought. It was a great celebration of a character that I very much enjoyed. When this game came out, Friday the 13th was my favorite horror franchise. I know most of the movies sucked, but just Jason Voorhees himself was such a cool character, and I really enjoyed the series. And now I've kind of gotten to the point where my new favorite horror franchise is Halloween. I've been appreciating that a lot more. And so I was very excited to find out the people who made the Friday the 13th game are now working on a Halloween game. Because now I'm in the very same boat I was in when this game came out. The same developers are making it. And it's going to be the kind of the same thing where you've got your, asymmetrical horror, Michael versus a bunch of different survivors, and then you've also got some single player campaigns like with I don't know if they're campaigns per se, but like with the virtual cabin, or you could just do the Jason mode like on single player where you go and kill a bunch of AI counselors. And now you've got that with Halloween, which is now currently my favorite horror franchise. So I'm excited for that game to come out. I did also hear that there's going to be a Survivor single-player campaign, which Friday the 13th never had. That's another thing that sucks about it being deactivated, is you can't play as a counselor anymore, because there's never a single-player option to play as a counselor, only as Jason. But, yeah, so with all that being said, Friday the 13th, I did very much enjoy that game. Another game that I really enjoyed, Guardians of the Galaxy. This game flew under the radar so much. Like, I hadn't heard a single thing about this game anywhere until I saw it on the Switch store. Now, I've played it both on Switch and on Steam Deck. Surprisingly, the better experience I had was with Switch, despite it being a cloud game on Switch, just because it damn near bricked my Steam Deck when I tried playing the first time. Like, I'd gotten like an hour into the game, and then all of a sudden my Steam Deck turned off. and I couldn't turn it on for a full 3 fucking days. I thought that my Steam Deck was bricked. I thought I was $600 in the hole because I was scared. I was terrified. Fortunately, Steam Deck did end up coming through and surviving that near-death experience. But, it was just surprising to me that a Steam Deck game ran, or a game ran worse on the Steam Deck than the Switch. But I really like the story in this game. The combat is a lot more fun than I expected it to be. Even though you only play a Star-Lord, like that was one thing that I was apprehensive about going into the game, only playing a Star-Lord and none of the other team members. But it makes a lot of sense then in the game where you got kind of like the leader thing, and you command the team whilst playing, and I think that's a really cool idea that doesn't get explored a whole lot in other games. So yeah, Guardians of the Galaxy is a really good game, and I definitely enjoy it. God of War, I'm going to put in, I'm going to get a lot of flack for this, good game, just because I haven't beaten it yet and I haven't played a whole lot of it, and what I will say is I don't enjoy it as much as the old God of War games. I remember playing those when I was a kid. I don't actually have them on this tier list. Maybe a future tier list. But I loved playing the God of War games on like the PlayStation 3, PlayStation 2, PSP. Those were some of my favorite games back then. I really loved the series. Hell, I even mained Kratos in PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale. Yeah, that's a game you probably haven't thought of or heard of in a fat fucking minute. But God of War was, one of my favorite game series when I was a kid, and I do really love this God of War. It doesn't hit as hard as the old games, in my opinion. And so with that being said, I can only put it in a good game, respectfully. Gotham Knights, gonna put mid-game. I definitely have had, enjoyed some moments. It's just a very repetitive game cycle that, and that's my biggest issue with it, is just that it's super repetitive. Which is funny because the same could probably be said for a lot of Arkham Knight, but and Blade of Sorcery, definitely Blade of Sorcery is repetitive, but I just feel like Gotham Knights didn't have enough in there to make the game loop, the repetitive game loop enjoyable. With that being said, I've just kind of been putting stuff into tiers. So here, I'm going to actually just go through and kind of reorder some of these on, what I like more. So with that being said, I will definitely put Gotham Knights ahead of Baldi's and the Five Nights games. I'll put Five Nights at Freddy's 2 above Baldi's, and this is kind of how I would have the mid games ranked. Alice, I definitely put God of War at the beginning of the good game tier, and yes, that's the good game tier. Arkham's, honestly, I'll put Evil Within above Blade and Sorcery. Friday the 13th, right? Yeah, that's above Blade and Sorcery too. All right, yeah, this is how I think I would realistically rank. Actually, no, Shadows. I definitely enjoy Shadows more than Night. There we go. Okay, this is my current ranking. Now let's move on. Granny, I will put in mid game right above Five Nights at Freddy's. This is another game that I was kind of at a really good age when it came out. I knew as I don't know exactly when it came out, or not when it first came out, but when I first started playing it, because I didn't play it right away, but I definitely watched like DanTDM play it, and a few other YouTubers, Think Noodles, Markiplier, and so I've played a lot of the different versions, starting from like the update where they first put the car in the game. That was the first time I played, and then I've played every subsequent version of the game. Yeah, I mean, they're enjoyable. It's another game that's kind of like repetitive, and I do think it's good to kill time. Like if you got like half an hour of time, I mean it's not that long, but like if you got like 15-20 minutes of time to kill and you want to play a game, it's definitely a good game to play. Um, having everything kind of be randomized around makes it so that there is, oh, sorry, I'm yawning. That there is definitely a bit of like, it's not you play it once and then it's too super easy after that. It's you have to go around look for stuff and um, yeah. So I also enjoyed playing the VR version, even if it sounded like I absolutely had a terrible time. Haunted Mansion for the PS2. I'm betting a lot of you have never heard of this game, but this is, and I think will always be, my favorite game of all time. It's neck to neck with Resident Evil 4. I'll get back to that later. Spoiler, sorry. But Haunted Mansion is a game that I played when I was really young, and I don't think that it's one of the earlier games I played, and so it was kind of one of the big introductions into gaming as a whole for me. And I definitely owe a lot of my love of the survival horror genre to this game. It's definitely like as PG as a horror survival game can get, but it does truly just have such an amazing atmosphere to it. The mansion itself is such a just a wonderful place. It's got like a hub world where you can search for like the next levels and stuff, and it's a really great hub world. It's got elements from a bunch of other horror games. Like it's got like in Resident Evil 2, like when the zombie hands come out through the window and start grabbing you. It's got areas like that where there's like boarded up doors. You'll pass those and a bunch of hands will come out for you. The saving mechanism is also one thing that I always remembered as I thought was super cool. It was like grandfather clocks around the mansion that you would go and interact with, and that would save your game. I fondly remember like the cheat codes. There were cheat codes to become invincible, to be able to get like all the weapon or like all the upgrades for your lantern, and then like for level selection. It's just a game that will always live in my mind as one of my favorite video game experiences. The graphics are amazing for a PS2 game. The level designs are all just so creative. Like every single level feels completely different, and that is such an amazing thing. Like it is just it's such a creative and very imaginative game that I don't think will be beaten for a very long time. And I think I will either get to a very old age or die before I discover a game that I enjoy playing quite as much as this one. So, with that being said, don't expect to see a single other game in this list at this spot. Hogwarts Legacy, that's going to go in great game. I've always been a huge Harry Potter fan. I have read the books 37 times each. So I definitely have a bit of a problem, but I do love Harry Potter, and this game is such a good encapsulation of the feeling of being a wizard and, going out and just like exploring Hogwarts and Hogsmeade and all of that. As well as, having being able to experience and meet some of like the wizards that are mentioned in the books. Going to Hogwarts under Phineas. His middle name always gives me trouble on pronunciation. Phineas Nigilius or whatever the fuck his name is. Black. It's a great game, and you can tell it was made by fans. One of the things where when I was first playing it, really early on in the game, that I saw that immediately made me go, yep, this is going to be a game that I'm going to enjoy. This is going to be a game that definitely stays true to the lore, and this is going to be a game where these people have, just like put so much attention to detail, is the very beginning cutscene where you're in a carriage and a dragon attacks you, and you watch a guy get eaten by this dragon, and the camera is spinning around, and all of a sudden the carriage, like the thestrals, fade into view, because obviously after seeing somebody die you can see thestrals. Just the fact that like all within the first 5 minutes of the game there's that much attention to detail into the universe and the accuracy. That was amazing. Really good game. I'm gonna actually put it above Friday the 13th here. So Hogwarts Legacy, amazing game. I don't know why I have Injustice 2 in front there, but Injustice, I'm gonna put that in good game. I played this again when I was really young, and I enjoyed beating the shit out of my siblings. My younger siblings. My older brother beat me quite a bit in this game, but now I'm fairly certain that I would kick his ass because I'm a much better gamer than he is now, and I have rocked his shit in Mortal Kombat quite a few times now. But it's got a great story being based off like the Injustice. Actually, I don't know if the comics came first or the game. I'm actually gonna have to look into that now because I actually don't know. But I do think the Injustice storyline's definitely a really good one. I think now James Gunn, if you end up watching this, the 0% chance that you watch this, do an Injustice storyline in the DCU, right? But for the universe where everything's gone to shit and like the do like the first story of the game where you have the variants of the heroes from one universe that hasn't had this tragedy happen and they're not living under this dictatorship regime under Superman's control, and then they go to this universe where everything has gone wrong and they try to save this different universe. Have the DCU be the good universe where everything's not like gone to shit, and then use the Snyderverse for the bad one, right? You can have Henry Cavill play this evil Superman, like how he was projected to, like how the Snyderverse was going to have in a few movies down the line. There was going to be this universe where Batman was having some sort of affair with Lois Lane for some reason, and Darkseid manipulated Superman into being evil. Do that, and have that as the Injustice storyline, so you can still have some of the Snyderverse characters, not the Flash, and then have them being, their world being saved by the DCU superheroes. And I just think that would be like a good idea, a good way to make that happen, and to bring Henry Cavill back into the fold and let him play the character again one last time before he and give him a proper send-off, where kind of like maybe he sees like the fault in his way and how he was manipulated, kind of like in the Injustice movie where he on his own volition turns himself in at the end, or maybe hell he sacrifices himself for something. And that's one of the few things I do like about the Injustice movie, is that Superman saw the error of his ways, because the one thing about the games that I never found too realistic is that after he snapped, he never, like, even after everybody tried showing him what went wrong and how he's not going about the right thing, he never stopped to listen to anybody. I definitely feel like that's something that if Superman did snap, I don't feel like that would be a permanent thing. Like, I feel like eventually he'd realize what he's doing is wrong. So I do like that the Injustice movie did that. I don't know why the fuck I'm still talking about the Injustice movie on my video game tier list. So Injustice 2, I think, improves upon Injustice 1 a lot in terms of the gameplay and like the character designs. It's iffy, but I do think that Injustice had some pretty shit character designs for some of their characters, especially Raven. Raven was butchered in that game. But I do think Injustice 2, story-wise, I don't think is as good as Injustice 1, but I think gameplay alone carries it to great game. And that's a very common thing with NetherRealm Studio, is, their stories are always good, but the main thing you want from a Mortal Kombat game or an Injustice game is the fighting. That's what the games are all about. So I think no matter like what the quality of the story is, I think what matters most in these games is the gameplay, and for that purpose, Injustice 2 definitely beats Injustice. The Last of Us. I will also put that in great game. Um, I haven't played it as much as some of like the other games here. Oh, here, hold on. I'm gonna put Injustice 2 right above Mickey Mouse, and I'll put Last of Us. Actually, I'll keep Last of Us where it is, and then Injustice 1. I'll definitely put that above Five Nights at Freddy's 2 and Alice. But yeah, so The Last of Us. I don't have much to say. I'm not the biggest like fan of the game, but I definitely recognize it's a great game. And me saying I'm not the biggest fan isn't like I don't like the game. It's just that it's not like a game that I replay a whole lot. It's not a game that I know everything about. It's just kind of like a game that I've played. It's a damn good game, and that's kind of just where it sits for me. Layers of Fear VR. Oh, that's actually, where do I put that? I'm gonna put that right in front of Blade and Sorcery, because my god, did that game scare the shit out of me when I played it. I think being in VR automatically makes everything a lot scarier, but this game in particular terrified me. It was the only game that like had me in this position where I was so enthralled by the game and so captivated by the game that I was so eager to finish it, but at the same time I didn't want to because I was so fucking terrified about what I'd be throwing myself into next. And having a game like that, I think that's a very amazing thing to do, to have somebody so scared of playing your game, but also so captivated and enthralled in the game that it's kind of like I want to play it, but I don't want to play it, but I do want to play it, but I really don't want to play it, but I absolutely really want to play it. So it was a very enjoyable experience. Lego Batman. I am a man of culture. I'm a man of taste. I'm a man that knows where Lego Batman belongs. No, not above Shadows. It doesn't belong there. But Lego Batman is, in my mind, what I think of when I think of Lego games. There are a lot of amazing Lego games, and we are going to rank a lot of them right now. But Lego Batman, in my mind, is the definitive Lego game. It bases a lot of its stuff, I think, primarily on Batman the Animated Series and the Tim Burton Batman, which makes a lot of sense because those were the most prevalent versions of the character at the time. And I think everything about the game is wonderful. It's a very charming and very intuitive game, and I think the only Lego Batman game that goes above it is Lego Batman 2. It improved on anything that a Lego game could improve on, in my mind at least. I really, really enjoyed the, it was one of the first, I think it may have actually been the first Lego game to have voice acting in it. I could be wrong about that, but I do think it was, and it was one of the first. It was one of the earlier ones to have voice acting, at least in terms of like the TT Lego games. Story-wise, I think it was great. It had a lot more characters than the first one, which, Lego games definitely tend to have more characters as they go on. And I think one of the things that really definitely sets this apart from a lot of other Lego games, and I mean, mind you, the first Lego Batman game did this too, but with most Lego Batman games that have larger rosters of characters, especially the ones that aren't directly based on a movie, you get to play as a lot of those characters right off from the start. With Lego Batman 2, though, like 70% of the missions are just Batman and Robin as playable characters, and then later on they add Superman, and then in like the last level you get the Justice League. But for primarily most of the game you're playing as Batman and Robin. Um, so they're definitely they're definitely seen as the main characters more so than in the next game, Lego Batman 3 Beyond Gotham, which I will put in great game, and I'll put that. I'm gonna go above Deadpool. I definitely enjoy this game. It's not as good as the other two though, because and I think the biggest subtractor here is taking away the open world aspect and making it just a bunch of little hub worlds. Now, granted, the first Lego Batman game only had the Batcave and the what was the villains hub world? I know it was separate. Was it Arkham Asylum? Was that the hub world for the villains? It's been a long time. But that was before Lego games started having huge open worlds. So I'm willing to give that one a pass because they didn't have that yet. But introducing an element like an open world in Lego Batman 2, why the hell would you then get rid of it for the sequel? Now, this does have a lot of good DLCs and characters and stuff from a bunch of different movies and shows and stuff. I just could not find myself to enjoy this one as much as the other two, which is really unfortunate because it definitely should have been better than both of them. It had a lot of ideas that they could have done well, and it should have been bigger than it was. But unfortunately, they kind of lost the sauce with this one a little bit. What they didn't lose the sauce with, however, is Lego DC Supervillains, which I will also put above Lego Batman 2 in the Professor Purple certified game. This is honestly my favorite Lego game of all time. And a big thing that I love about the Lego games is the character creators, and this is easily the best one they ever had. And I think just the whole atmosphere of the game, or not atmosphere, but the whole feel and style of the game is really amazing. Some of the promotional work they did, I remember watching some YouTubers and they being given boxes and stuff of merch from the game, and the promotional material for the game was pretty damn amazing, and just the game itself is really fun. It's definitely one of the better TT Lego games that they made, and the character roster, my god, the character roster was fucking phenomenal. There were so many characters in there, and it was just it's definitely one that's hard to beat. I'll say that. Now, moving on with Lego Harry Potter collection, where do I place that one? I'm okay. I don't know. I'm gonna put it between Beyond Two Souls and Injustice. So this is going in the good game category. As I said, I'm a huge Harry Potter fan. I think the biggest issue, though, with this game, which, mind you, I do love this game, biggest issue, though, is it's just kind of a mess in terms of the game. Going through the game, if you're not a Harry Potter fan, it is so hard to know what the fuck is happening. And a big part of that is, not having any voice acting. But other games, I think, are able to articulate that a lot better. Especially since in this game, 90% of the time, it's impossible to tell if you're just in the hub world or if you're in a level. It's just a very... I don't know what the word I'd find is. Because when I first played this game, it was before I'd watched the movies or even read the books, and I just had no idea what was going on at any given point in time. I was clueless. I was lost. I had no fucking idea what was happening. Then, playing after I became a Harry Potter fan, I knew everything that was going on, but I'm, thinking back to, when I played it the first time, I'm okay, I had no fucking idea, how to articulate that, and that's just, I think, the biggest issue. So, just being a game that, to somebody who hasn't watched or read Harry Potter, It's not a very understandable experience, and so that's why I can't put it much higher than this. Lego Hobbit and Lord of the Rings. I've played them a while ago. I'm not going to have much to say on these two. I'm just going to put them both at the tail end of good game, just because I'm not the biggest Lord of the Rings fan. I don't know much about the franchise, and I don't particularly really remember a whole lot from these games, so obviously they're not memorable enough in my mind that I have a bunch of fond memories of them. They're probably great games. I just am not the biggest Lord of the Rings fan, so I've got nothing to say on that. What I do have something to say on, Lego Marvel Superheroes. Professor Purple Certified. Great game. It is, I would say, definitely the best of the Lego Marvel games. And it does a great job encapsulating its characters. I think that it's very similar to Lego Batman 2 in that way. These two are probably the most similar Lego games that there are. Just, because, like, both of them are very, very good with adapting their characters. And they've got both a great, like, roster for their characters and great open worlds. I think what pushes this one over Lego Batman 2 is just that I've always been a bigger Marvel fan than DC. I love them both, but I've always been a bigger Marvel fan. And also, I just think, like, the story in this game, being able to juggle the X-Men, the Fantastic Four, the Avengers, and a whole bunch of other characters, it definitely had a much bigger scope than Lego Batman 2. And I think that the story was really damn good. Now, Lego Avengers, I will put that probably in good game. I'll go above Castle of Illusion. Lego Avengers is definitely good. I just think it sounds really weird because most of the dialogue of it's based on the MCU, and most of the dialogue comes from the movies. Noticeably so. Because I'm 100% sure that they just ripped the dialogue out of the movies because it sounds so weird. And characters that don't appear in the MCU, that are voice acted independently for the game, sound a lot different. And that's why I'm completely 100% sure that they did not have voice actors playing these characters, and they just actually ripped the dialogue from the movies and the audio from the movies. I'm not 100, like, I don't know if that, like, I would have to look in to see if that's actually how they did it, but I'm damn near sure that it is. So yeah. Apart from that, it's a fine game. It's just not as strong as the first game, nor is it as strong as the second game, but they are close, so I will put, like, nope, not above Injustice 2. Lego Marvel Superheroes 2, I think, had a lot more potential. It's very much in the same boat as Lego Batman 3, where it had some damn good potential. I just don't think it delivered. I do enjoy it as a game. It's a good game. Or a great game. That's why it's in the great game tier. I just don't think that I enjoyed it as much as the first one. And I really think that, what I really like about that first game is how comic-oriented it was. And that's my biggest issue with these two, is they lean a lot more heavily into MCU. And now, obviously, this one's got a lot more comic stuff in it, but it also has a lot more MCU than I'd like. Like, the Guardians of the Galaxy, they're all MCU designs. A lot of the characters are MCU designs. And I think that sucks, because the one thing that I've always been, that I've always thought about the MCU, I love the MCU. There are a lot of great movies, but the designs are always, I think, like personally in my mind, the designs are never as good as the comic book designs, just because they try to make it too realistic. And realistic is being used very lightly in the MCU, but they just try to modernize the outfits too much. That's my biggest issue, because with a Lego game, they don't have to do that, because they're not being seen on actual people. They're being seen on tiny plastic figures that are perfect for the comic book design. So why, instead of using those comic book designs, why would you use the MCU designs? Like, the Guardians of the Galaxy in Lego Marvel Superheroes, they used their comic book designs, and they all looked fucking amazing. So why would you change that to worse designs? Okay, I'm talking about the designs too much here, but also I think the story is just not as strong. I do think Kang's got a lot of nice moments in this game. I just don't think he is as good a villain as Galactus and Loki were in the first game. So, with that being said, this one's being ranked lower. Pirates of the Caribbean, I'm going to put at the tail end. No. I'll put it above Hogwarts Legacy. That's mostly nostalgia talking. I remember playing this game on PSP when I was a very little lad, and I very much enjoyed it. I've also played like a few different versions of the console game. I definitely think that my favorite version is PSP though. I love the Pirates of the Caribbean movies. And I definitely think this is, a good encapsulation of those movies, which that's something that Lego always does amazingly, is encapsulating the movies that it has its roots from. So, yes. Beyond that, though, where is this going to go? Yeah, right here. Star Wars: The Complete Saga. I was wrong earlier when I said that Batman is like what I think of when I think of Lego games. This is 100% this is. Lego Star Wars: The Complete Saga is just timeless. It will always be a good game. I'm 100% sure of that. And I definitely think that a lot of my interest in the whole, the Star Wars universe as a whole came from this game. I played this game, and that's really kind of what set me on to loving Star Wars. I'm not the hugest Star Wars fan. I've seen all of the movies, and I've seen, a few of the shows, Bad Batch, Clone Wars, Mandalorian, Book of Boba Fett. I haven't watched a whole lot of the recent Star Wars stuff just because, I think we can all agree that it had a very universal fall off. It fell off hard. With that being said, what also fell off hard is Lego Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga. In my opinion, it's still a great game, but I'm going to put it at the tail end, and I've got a few reasons for that. It does not feel like... It doesn't have any of the magic that the Complete Saga had. I think, it lost the sauce, one might say. And not having a character creator definitely is a large part of that, but also when I play the game, I don't feel like I'm playing a Lego game. Like, sure, it looks like a Lego game, it just doesn't feel like a Lego game. And I think a large part of that is just... I don't know, it's just... I feel like a lot of the good Lego humor is missing out of this game. And that's another reason I'm excited about this new Lego Batman game, is the trailer already looks like it's got a lot more of that back into it. Because, gameplay-wise, this new Batman game is a lot more like, like the Star Wars game than it's like any of these games. Though it's definitely more like the Arkham games than anything. But it still has that, Lego feel to it, with the humor and everything. And I think that is what's really missing from the Skywalker saga that, puts this at the tail end of great game. Now, moving on, Super Mario World. That's going right... Oh, nope. Right here. One of my favorite games. I really love... similar to with the Haunted Mansion, the level design is so creative throughout this game. It introduces a lot of key things that became very important to the Mario mythos. This is Yoshi's first introduction into the series. The Koopaling's first introduction to the series, I believe. I could be wrong about that, but I'm quite sure this was their first introduction. Unless it was Super Mario 3. I haven't actually played 3. So, unless they're introducing that, I definitely think that this is their introduction. And one of my favorite power-ups in the entirety of the Mario franchise is the feather, with the cape. So, this was the first game I played on my YouTube channel. My first video. I never finished it. I will definitely one day go back and finish it, probably on Switch. Switch 2. But yeah, I'll definitely come back to that one day, because I really enjoy that game. Now, Super Mario Bros. Wii, I will go ahead and put that. I'm going to put that above Harry Potter. I'm also going to put Injustice above both of those. I don't know why I had Injustice below Lego Harry Potter. Okay, there we go. Super Mario Bros. Wii is another game that's very nostalgic. A lot of Wii games are just very nostalgic to me. That was the Wii and PlayStation 2 are consoles I grew up with. And so the Wii, that's I think the best era of gaming right there. Of course, I'm very biased, but Super Mario Bros. Wii, I had a lot of fun playing this when I was younger with my siblings, and now having played a lot more Mario games, you can definitely tell it's one of the less polished ones, I'll say. But it was also their first foray into, good 3D graphics in a 2D platformer Mario game. So, with that being said, good game. Mario Odyssey, that definitely goes great game, and I'm going to put that above Pirates of the Caribbean. I'm going to put it right there. Mario Odyssey is a fucking fantastic game. Obviously, being a release title with the Switch is going to be a heavy markup for that, because the Switch is one of my favorite consoles. And I remember when I was when this game came out, I watched Dan2DM live stream the games. I was pretty young, and I just had just a fucking wonderful time watching Dan2DM play those. It was a while before I ended up playing it myself after that, but there was a certain magic about watching the game, when I was a kid, and just the worlds, all the levels looked so beautiful, all the different, the new enemy types, and just, the ability to throw the hat onto enemies, and all of a sudden you're now playing as a fucking T-Rex. That, to me, is why Nintendo games are some of my favorites, just because of the creativeness in the games. So, yeah. Super Mario Bros. Wonder. You're gonna go right here. Here. Super Mario Bros. Wonder is definitely, I think, the best 2D platformer of Mario. it did a really, really wonderful job of breathing, so like just some, a fresh, a fresh take on Mario. First Mario game that didn't have Charles Martinet. Or not the first one that didn't have him, but like the first after he retired the voice. So, I think my voice will work now. The character updates, like all the updated designs, I think are pretty damn good. As well as just like the mechanics, like the Wonder Seeds, were really amazing. Like just every level being flipped on its head, and I think the art style was beautiful. It was definitely much better aesthetically than New Super Mario Bros. Wii. So, yeah, Super Mario Wonder, great game. What will also go in Professor Purple Certified is Mario Kart Wii, and that will go at the tail end here. I'll put it. Yeah, it's gonna go at the end. I absolutely fucking love this game. It's very nostalgic, which is, a lot of the games up here are just up here because of how nostalgic they are. But what can I say? I'm a sentimental kind of guy. More than any other game, I have the fondest memories playing this with my siblings. And honestly, actually, I'm gonna put it a lot higher. Just now thinking about like all the times I've had playing this with my siblings. This game is a game that bonded me and my siblings a lot at a time in our life where we weren't very fond of each other. It was one of the few activities we did with each other happily, I'll say. And now we've, me and my siblings, we've got a really great bond, and we are very close. But this game kind of built a foundation of that back before we were. So I will always cherish this game with very high regards. With that being said, Mario Kart 8 is going to go... it's going to go in great game, I think. No, not at the beginning. I will put it above Odyssey. Mario Kart 8 is really fun. And... I mean, of course, it's got to be really fun to have been the Mario Kart game for, 10 years? Because, when did this one come out? Hold on. I'm gonna... Ow. I've got to pull out my phone and Google when this one came out. Because I know it was the longest gap between any Mario Kart game coming out. And I've got to see what said gap was. So, let me see. Mario Kart release date. Sorry. I should have been more specific. Mario Kart 8 release date.
According to Wikipedia,
okay,
the free encyclopedia, Nintendo revealed Mario Kart 8 in 20...
I do not need a voice. Sorry, this is a new phone. I don't know how to use it yet. 2014. And then that means with Mario World came out this year, it has been a full 11 fucking years, and Mario Kart 8 has not gotten stale. That is really impressive. And I think Mario Kart is one of the game franchises that just doesn't miss. I can't think of a single bad Mario Kart game. So, yeah, no, can't think of one. Speaking of which, I'm going to put... This one's really difficult, because I haven't had a whole lot of time with this game. I just got my Switch 2 3 days ago, and I've played this once for a video that is not out yet. Oh, gosh. Sorry, I punched my camera. is not out yet, but it will be out. Probably not before I post this because I still have a lot of editing to do with that video. So I've played this game once. So honestly, I don't know why I have it on here. I'm actually not going to rank this one yet, just because it's very unfair for me to do that because I haven't played it more than like 30 fucking minutes. Minecraft. Oh boy, if there's ever something that was going to get people to hate me, my Minecraft ranking. I loved this game when I was a kid. When I was a kid being key. I have played it very few times since then. And I just like... It's not a game I see myself going back to a whole lot. And so I'm gonna put it here. It's a good game. I just can't be bothered with it. Like it's one of those games that I really want to like. I can't. And you know, it's not like I don't like. It's not like I dislike the game. I just can't enjoy it all too much. So, Mortal Kombat X, I will say, good game. I'll put it at the tail end of good game. It's a good game. You know, not great, not bad, just good. Mortal Kombat 11, I will put at the tail end of great game. I love Mortal Kombat 11. I have put a lot of hours into that game. And Mortal Kombat 1 will go right behind it. Not a whole lot to say about them. I just, you know, they're games I enjoy. And I love the movies. Not Armageddon. Armageddon is a piece of shit. I do love the first Mortal Kombat movie and the remake movie, or it's not really a remake, but like the newer movie. I'm really excited for Mortal Kombat 2 because they look to have a lot more accurate costumes. Raiden's costume, my god. Octodad, that's another great game. I'm gonna put it right behind Skywalker Saga. No, above Skywalker Saga and Last of Us. Yeah, I'll put it right there. This is another game that I watched Dan TDM play before I played it myself, and it's such an enjoyable game. It's so wacky and cartoony, and it's, you know, it's just kind of like one of those games that there's nothing there hasn't been a game like it, at least that I'm aware of, and I definitely respect that and commend that. So, God, I've got a lot of great games on here. Yeah. Phasmophobia. That is another one that I haven't played very much, but I have played it, and I'm just gonna put it. You know, it's a good game. Yeah, right there. It's fun. You know, it's one of those games. Same with like Dead by Daylight, that it's enjoyable when you play it with friends. It's not scary though. And fortunately for me, I have played it with friends, and so I have enjoyed it a lot more than Dead by Daylight. And now, oh boy, we're getting into the Resident Evil territory, and if you have watched more than 3 of my videos, you will know I fuck with Resident Evil, and I love these games. So, let's see. Resident Evil 1, Professor Purple certified, 2nd place. This is a fucking stellar game. This is an amazing game. This is the survival horror game. And this is the one where I was talking about that, you know, as I said, Evil Within is one of my favorite survival horror games. This one beats it. 100%. This one is the best survival horror game in existence, and that is a fact. So, if you have a different game that's better than this, you're wrong. Shut the fuck up. I don't know why. Alright. Resident Evil 2. This is another great game. Now, I have played all 3 of the original Resident Evil games as well. I didn't put them on here, I guess, because I was making this with my Steam library in mind, and then I guess that one slipped from my mind. So, Resident Evil 2, though, I would probably rank them the same. Like, they're both stellar games. They've got their differences, but I think overall in the ranking, I'd put them in the same place. So I'll just go ahead and put this right here. I definitely like Resident Evil 1 more than Resident Evil 2, though. Resident Evil 3, I'm going to put in good game at the top. I am one of those people that really did enjoy the Resident Evil 3 remake. Resident Evil 3 Nemesis is definitely better. I would probably put Nemesis right between Mario Kart Wii and Supervillains. But Resident Evil 3, good game, definitely 100%. As I said earlier, if there was any one game that would be second, or that would contest Haunted Mansion, it's Resident Evil 4. And beyond that, I very much enjoy the VR version more than the console version. And beyond that, I very much enjoyed the remake more. Now, I love all three of these games pretty much equally. My thing, Resident Evil 4, I've played on the Switch, I've played on the Steam Deck, and I have played on GameCube once. And I think of those three versions, the Switch one I think is the one I like the most, just because I like being able to play with the controllers detached, and that's not something I can do with Steam Deck. But it's an amazing game. I really enjoy it. I've probably played this one single game more than any other game. This version specifically more than any other game that I've ever played in my life. But the VR version is it's a very different experience. Being able to move while aim is very cool, and just there's a larger amount of things you can do in the game in terms of just the controls, and you're just having those control differences really changes the game in a very good way. And the remake did everything right. It is easily, out of like the Resident Evil 2, 3, and 4 remakes, easily the best, in my opinion. It definitely omitted the least amount of things. Like, every other remake took out a good chunk of the game, especially 3. But with Resident Evil 4, it honestly added more than it took out. And anything that it really did take out, it added in separate ways. Like the U3 boss fight's the biggest one that the game took out, but in separate ways, they actually did a really clever thing by turning the Verdugo into the U3 boss fight that I think was an excellent choice, instead of having the Verdugo just kind of attached to Salazar in his boss fight. Speaking of which, the boss fights, oh my god, they were all amazing, especially the Krauser one. The knife combat in the game and the stealth combat in the game. I'm a huge fan of stealth combat in games, and so that really easily set this game above the original for me. I could glaze the Resident Evil 4 remake for hours, so I'm going to go ahead and move on. This is probably going to be my most divisive opinion in terms of Resident Evil. That's going to be Resident Evil 5 is mid. It's above these, though. I did not enjoy Resident Evil 5 very much. Out of every Resident Evil game, I've played this one the least. I've only played through the entire game once. It's not a game I like going back to. It's not a game I very much enjoyed. It's like I might have a different experience if I did multiplayer. I might enjoy that more, but it's just, I think, in my opinion, is what draws it back is it is too similar to Resident Evil 5 in enemy types, because they use the Las Plagas to make the Ouroboros in Resident Evil 5, and so virtually it's the same enemy types, except some of them are a little bit more threatening. But it takes away all the horror from the series, and to me, that really kills this game. And so it is one of my least favorite Resident Evil games. And I hope that if and when it does get remade, they could maybe fix just some of that to make it stand out a little bit more. Other than that, I think story-wise, it is definitely, like with Chris and Wesker, it is a great, the story between them is amazing, and it's a fitting end for Wesker. It's just mainly the gameplay that I do not enjoy in this game. Yeah, we all knew where that was going. I don't need to explain myself. This one, I'm gonna go ahead and put this. Resident Evil 7 is amazing. I really enjoy this game. The DLCs are also some of, I think, the best DLCs ever. Just in general, like not even like the best Resident Evil DLCs, just the best DLCs. Like it's got some amazing DLC to it. And it was a very fresh take on Resident Evil, and definitely saved Resident Evil from Resident Evil. With that being said, Village. Now, this is where it gets a lot more divisive. But as already stated, Resident Evil 4 is my favorite game in the series. And Village is actually very similar to Resident Evil 4 in a lot of aspects. And as such, is another one of my favorites in the series. I really love Village. And I think, I definitely understand like why some people don't like it very much. Me personally, I enjoy this game a lot. And I definitely like Ethan Winters as a character. He's got some pretty bad dialogue. But I think, him just being, just kind of a family man that's thrown into this, into these terrible situations, and he gives his life to save, what matters to him most. That is, I think, very, very respectable. So, with that being said, Professor Purple certified. Revelations. Where are you gonna go? Gameplay wise, I love Revelations. Story wise, I love Revelations. Character wise, this game fucking sucks. It's got terrible characters. I'm sorry. Other than like Jill, Chris, and like the mainstays of the series, the characters are so fucking annoying in this game. I can't with this game. And actually, hold on, sorry. I've got a correction to make. I forgot that Piers existed in this game, and so that's going to raise it above Alien, because Piers is amazing. But with this game, it's, it just, the characters are so fucking annoying. And, it was really set up to be such an amazing game, and then, like, the second half of the game just kind of became a joke. Like the first half of the game was super scary. Not scary, but, like, it had a very scary atmosphere. The enemies were terrifying, like the Skagdag. But then the second half of the game kind of just turned it into almost a parody of Resident Evil. And so that's kind of, I haven't played Revelations 2, so I have nothing to say on that one, unfortunately. Same with Resident Evil 0. Those games I have not played. Reverse. Where do I put you? I'm going to go mid, and I'll put it above these. I did enjoy Reverse when I could play, except that nobody was ever playing the fucking game, so I could never get a lobby, and now it's shut down. So the few times I played it, it was fine. Resistance, I will put very close, but I'll put that above Gotham Knights. Resistance at least had some interesting aspects to it that not a lot of other asymmetrical games had, with like the whole mastermind thing behind it, where you're not like just a like a killer. You are a killer, but like where you're not just a killer with a weapon in the field. You're setting traps and stuff. I think that's pretty interesting. And then of course, you can become enemies and all that at various times. So you are a ghoul. I really want to put it in certified, but I don't. Yeah, I'll put you in certified at the tail end. This remake basically blew away all of my expectations. I did not expect to like this very much, and not a lot of people did. I remember when the trailers came out, and it being made by the Blooper team, who had made some very great walking simulator horror games, Layers of Fear. Just didn't have much success with survival horror or psychological horror, which is their walking simulators had good psychological horror, never mind. But its first foray into a Silent Hill type game was pretty damn bad. So nobody expected them to do good with Silent Hill 2, but they blew away basically every expectation I had, and it was a very amazing, very good game. So, yeah. Sly Cooper, and the Phoebus Raccoonus, this goes right here for me. As you can tell, I'm a huge sucker for PS2 and Wii games. This game I really enjoyed. I think Sly Cooper, it's a damn shame that we haven't gotten a Sly Cooper game in such a long time. This is, I've had a lot of fun with it, and I think all the abilities you unlock getting the pages of Thievius Raccoonus are, they're all really fun abilities, and I think aesthetically, I really love this era of gaming. So, it's it's a very nostalgic type of game for me. Sonic Unleashed, I will put great game right behind The Evil Within. I played this I've played this on PlayStation 2 and Wii, and I really enjoy this game. I've always been always liked werewolves, and I feel like not a whole lot of games do the werewolf trope well. I haven't played The Wolf Among Us. I know I should play that because I've heard that one's pretty good, but I think it's very interesting just how different the PlayStation 2 and Wii versions of the game are. Because they are very different. They're completely different fucking games. But I think the whole story of the game too, with Sonic starting as Super Sonic and then getting the Chaos Energy kind of morphed and then becoming a werewolf, and the difference between the nighttime and the daytime levels, where the daytime levels are your classic Sonic, you run around platform, and then the nighttime you've got different powers like the stretchy limbs and everything. I think that more combat with actual fighting combat is very interesting. I haven't played this game since I was 8 years old, so I'm just kind of trying to remember everything about it. But yeah, I definitely have fond memories of the game though. So Spider-Man, I will that's not where it's going. It's going here. I love Insomniac's take on Spider-Man. They do such an amazing job with the character. It is, it definitely has a lot of inspiration from Arkham. You can tell. The combat and the stealth in the game, I definitely think takes some heavy inspiration from Arkham, but it is also very different in style, and it's definitely the best that web slinging has ever been, and I really love the boss fights in this game. The story too, it's got a lot of emotion in it, and you can just tell that this was made by people who loved Spider-Man. The ending, like with Aunt May and everything, was completely tragic, and the Stan Lee cameo also is, you know, one of his last ones, so that was also very gut wrenching. But Miles Morales, I will put right between City and Asylum. I enjoyed this game. It was very short though, and definitely didn't have as much to do as the first Spider-Man game, which is very disappointing. But the game itself, it's kind of got a recycled story of, you know, a very close, somebody very close to Spider-Man is discovered to have become a villain because of some tragic circumstances, and then Spider-Man has to fight them, and it's very emotional, and they have to cut ties with them, and it's a recycled story between the main antagonist and protagonist. So that's, definitely a downside. But Spider-Man 2, I know a lot of people are going to disagree with me on this, but I'm going to put it above Spider-Man 1. And I know that what I just said with Miles is also true, because in this game, the main villain, who is close friends with Spider-Man, becomes a villain due to tragic circumstances, but said villain's being voiced by Tony Todd as well, so, I mean, there's that. I also think this is the best version of Kraven ever. Like, I can't think of a single adaptation of Kraven I enjoyed more than this game's. I really think, like, the whole idea of him being too prideful to die to cancer, and instead is trying to find, like, a worthy opponent to kill him in combat, is a really good story for Kraven, and it is a really good way to do that character. I think the whole storyline with, like, Wraith was amazing, like, in the Carnage side missions. Speaking of side missions, I had some, pretty good ones. I also think that the web wings just made the traversal that was already so good so much better. I love using the web wings, and all the upgrades. The suit selection was phenomenal, and I definitely am upset that all the DLCs got canceled. It would have been great to have those, but I understand the circumstances behind that. So yeah, Spider-Man 2, I really enjoyed. What I enjoyed a lot more than Spider-Man 2, though, Spider-Man Shattered Dimensions. Easily my favorite Spider-Man game of all time. I really, really love the whole aesthetic and of this game. Another thing, about me loving, like, stealth missions, Spider-Man noir missions in this game are fucking fantastic, phenomenal. I would really love this game to be either remastered or remade. I know that's not going to happen because Activision lost the license, and that's really unfortunate. And I also think this game would make a fucking phenomenal VR game. It's got those moments in the boss fights where you get kind of like in the first person space, and so I think just the game in VR would also just be amazing. So yeah. Oh, I'm gonna have to scroll down now a bit to access my games, because my certified tier has become too full. Split Fiction is also going to go in certified. Where is this going to go? No, I'll put it at Great Game at the very beginning of Great Game, purely because this game is very fun. The studio behind it is phenomenal with making games. So far, they haven't made a bad one, as far as I'm aware. It is it's a very creative story too. Like, I think the story is very like very very creative. And I've had a great time playing this with my girlfriend. And I think like just it gets really wacky at times with like the pig mission and stuff like that, but it is definitely a really good game. It's got a good story behind it and a good dynamic between the main characters, and I think for all those reasons I love Split Fiction. So Spyro the Reignited Trilogy. This is a game I haven't spent too much time with, unfortunately. So I'm just gonna put it good game right there. Yeah, I mean it's a fun game. I just haven't played it a whole lot, and I haven't beaten it, so unfortunately I don't have too much to say about it. Force Unleashed. Where do I put you? Right there. This is another nostalgic game. I especially love like the Switch version. The motion controls are very fun to use with this game. And overall, it is a delightful experience. Sam Witwer, he has given hundreds of amazing performances, and this is no exception. So, yeah, Suicide Squad killed Justice League. This is another one that I do not hate as much as everybody else. And the reason for that being is I think if this was not an Arkham game, it had a lot of potential. I think, I enjoy the humor in the game, like between the Suicide Squad and their banter, and especially Captain Boomerang. I fucking hate him, but that's one of the things where like it's fun to hate him. It's definitely a bad game. Definitely a bad game. But it's enjoyable to play on occasion. I think if it wasn't in the Arkham universe, I'm gonna put that above FNAF 3. If it wasn't in the Arkham universe, I'd probably enjoy it more. TMNT. This I'm gonna put right above Sonic Unleashed. I had a lot of fun playing this as a kid. I actually played this before I watched the movie, and then I watched the movie, and I enjoyed the game even more after that. I think it's definitely a unique take on the Turtles, and they actually kind of did like the Ronin storyline, but PG, so that's interesting. I'm excited for the last Ronin game. Has that come out yet? I don't know. I'm not going to Google that right now. I'll figure that out later. I don't know when that's going to come out. If it already has, then oops. Whatever. So yeah, I enjoyed it. Tomb Raider, I'm gonna put at the top of the mid category. No. Okay, it is better than mid. I'll put it in good game. I just don't have much to say about it. It's it's enjoyable. I challenge you to play this game at full volume with somebody not watching. Okay? Yeah. You play this game. You have somebody maybe in the next room over that can't see what you're playing. Volume 100%. And you know what they're going to hear? They're going to hear some weird fucking shit. Alright? Because it'll sound like you're watching a porno. Because, my God, if she gets hit once. Any sort of physical exertion. The game devs, they were not cooking with the sound design. This is definitely a game you gotta play with headphones. That's all I gotta say. Walking Dead. I'll put that tail end of Professor Purple certified. Ugh. I started playing it on my Switch, and I absolutely enjoyed every second of it. It is a wonderful game, and I definitely love all the dynamics, and it definitely throws you some very hard choices. So yeah, that is the the whole tier list. Definitely had a lot more good games than bad games on this specific tier list. We'll probably make some more of these. But yeah, so this is definitely think it turned out not as I was expecting. I wasn't expecting to rate so many of these games as high as I did. At the same time, I'm very tired, though. I just got done with a closing shift. As you can see, I haven't even gotten out of my uniform. Yeah, so I'm gonna go to bed. Bye-bye!